really doom and gloom, because unlike all the other uplifting speeches that you've heard today, my message is a little bit different. So if you like regulation, if you like to be under the oversight of cops and policemen and law enforcement officials, then you're in the right business, because financial services is not just regulated, it's not just highly regulated, it's very, very highly regulated. And you get it from every single side. You're doing derivatives business in the United States, but you work for an international company. Well, bad news. Derivatives constitute two sides of the market. Derivatives constitute both securities, they constitute both futures. You've got two basic regulators in the United States: the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. You've got self-regulatory organizations under each of those government entities, and then you've got exchanges under those. All of those entities have jurisdiction over your behavior. But it doesn't stop there. I feel like a salesman. And there's more. If you work for a major investment bank these days, it's likely that you're under the auspices of the Federal Reserve Bank, and it's likely they're sitting in your offices watching your conduct. If you do international business, then you're going to be touching all the regulators around the world, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK. You'll be touching regulators in Asia. You'll be touching all sorts of exchanges around the world. They all have rules, they all have regulations, and you will be expected to comply with them. Well, that's the bad news. That's the bad news, okay? There's a basic message in rules. If you're not a lawyer like me, you can't recall all of them. They're complicated, they're contradictory, they're hard to understand. Many of them are not in English. For years, I was the chief compliance officer, I was the general counsel of a global brokerage company. And I said, guys, only remember one thing. It's the morning of Thanksgiving, and you're sitting with your grandmother. Do you want her reading about your conduct in the newspaper? If the answer is yes, you've done the right job. If the answer is no, you shouldn't have done it. I call it the grandma test. It's the most valuable test you can apply if you are in this business. Don't forget it. Greed is not good. Greed is not good. Gordon Gekko was wrong. Success is good. Making money, that's fine, no problem. That's what we aspire to. We want to be wealthy, we want to do well, okay? But your reputation means something. And the company that employs you, its reputation means something. Work to keep the reputation good. Okay, so a little bit more. So I've been asked, well, I got only 3 minutes left. Wait, it's not moving. I seem to have a forever 3 minutes. All right, I'll do the best I can. All right, so I mentioned that there are these regulators all around the world. They're watching your conduct. You got to comply with their rules. Why are there laws in this business? Why are there rules in this business? Because society has determined that certain things are good. The basic law that governs futures trading in the United States is called the Commodity Exchange Act. Why was the Commodity Exchange Act enacted? The Commodity Exchange Act was enacted because Congress thought that managing price risk was a good thing. It was an important thing. Farmers needed to offset the risk of their crops. Merchants need to offset the risk of their transactions. We've evolved over time. Financial services companies need to lay off the risk of their transactions. So hedging, managing price risk is considered a good thing. In response to that, Congress enacted lots of laws to ensure that there were good, efficient, and fair markets, that people were treated fairly. All this sounds good. The law, when I started in 1982, was a little book about this thing. I was really happy. That's why I got into this business, and I could deal with a book that little. It's now about this big, and it's 2 volumes. Okay, it's expanded over time. What makes a good law? What makes a bad law? Well, unfortunately, laws are political creatures, okay? To a certain extent, when a law starts off, maybe it has a good public purpose, and the law helps support that public purpose. But then things happen over time. Sometimes the response is sensible, it's thoughtful. Sometimes the response is reactive. It's simply reacting to what's in the newspaper. And it's the same thing with regulations. Regulations, laws are on the top, government agencies enforce the laws. Regulations, they adopt regulations. The rules are simply done by the agencies underneath, the exchanges, the self-regulatory organizations, but they all have the same basic purpose. Something is deemed good, and then something underneath expands upon it, makes it more specific. What makes a good law? Well, you sort of heard that before. Good laws, good regulations are flexible. They're not overly prescriptive. The problem with being overly prescriptive is the conduct you're governing today doesn't exist tomorrow. It doesn't apply tomorrow. Right now, down in Washington, folks are discussing how to regulate the source code that sits behind much of the automated trading systems. That's great, except that the regulators have this vision of source code as a static something. Okay, it's like written on a piece of paper. It's like when I was back in school, way before your time. Okay, we used to punch cards. That's how we used to program. We punched cards, and at the end of the day, source code was reflected by a bunch of punched cards. To a certain extent, that's the view of source code today down in Washington. The idea of artificial intelligence, the fact that tomorrow source code may be something entirely different. It may not just be part of the program. It's integrated into the hardware. The fact that the source code might be writing itself, that might be the source code. It's not within the contemplation of the current rule set. That's bad regulation. Bad regulation doesn't anticipate where the market may go, where the behavior may go. Good regulation is a bit broader. It allows it. Now, the problem is that if you have too broad law, you don't know what to do. Because a good law gives you notice of what you can do and what you can't do. So it's the fine line between being not too prescriptive, but being somewhat educational and letting you know what is the conduct, what's the behavior they specifically want from you, or they don't want from you. So that's a couple of things. And I also want to say, so I told you the bad thing about laws. Okay, you can get in trouble. Just last week, a gentleman who was trading using one of these automated trading systems or automated algorithmic trading kind of device, he got sentenced to 3 years in prison for the type of trading he did. Fast trading called spoofing. Okay, and for that he'll likely spend 3 years in prison unless his conviction is overturned on appeal. There are serious consequences. You pick up the newspaper, you read about folks accused of insider trading, all sorts of financial fraud. They're going to spend time in prison. That's the downside. Fines, it's a tough world. But laws are also your friend. If you behave within the law, you have a safe harbor. It's a get out of jail card, okay? The law is a box. Now, you've heard suggestions. Sometimes things are not just in the box or out of the box. Sometimes it's not either white or black. It's not legal or illegal. Sometimes there's stuff that's gray. That's where the grammar test comes back, okay? How do you decide when something is either white or black, whether it's okay to do? It's the grammar test. But it's the creativity around that is part of the excitement of being a lawyer. Okay? It's not just gloom and doom. It's not just gloom and doom, that's the compliance side. But it's not just gloom and doom. If you decide to deal with the legal and the compliance profession, if that's something you want to do, there's a lot of creativity that can come into play. Okay? Because if you just play by the rules, and again, I don't want to apply it because you should never do anything that's illegal. You should not do anything that your grandmother wouldn't be proud of. Okay? But that doesn't mean that putting together what's legal here and what's legal there has never been done before. And by putting two unrelated things together, you may create an opportunity for your company that no one has thought about and gives it a chance to really succeed. And that's what's very, very exciting, okay? And that's something that I think folks should aspire to. But I guess, let me just look at what else I want to cover here. I think that's all the main points. I want to be respectful of other people's time. But bottom line, I do want to say two other things that I think, because people are giving life lessons. When you deal with your lawyers can be very frustrating. Okay, lawyers, people say, lawyers just tell you they just say no, they just say no, they just say no. A good lawyer doesn't say no. What they might say is, you can't do this, but you can do that. That's a much better way of giving advice. And if you have to deal with your lawyers, when they say no, you say, okay, I understand no to this, but what can I do? That's always a fair question. Don't be afraid to ask that. Now, that also being said, in life, okay, when you're at your companies, when you're dealing with lawyers and you're dealing with other business people, it used to frustrate me tremendously because I would give advice and the business guys would look at me and say, okay, you know what, let's think about that. And I said, guys, you just thought about that. Do you realize you just made a decision? They said, no, we just said we're going to make a decision tomorrow. No. Every time you don't make a decision, You're ratifying the status quo. You're saying that what you're doing right now is fine. And that may not be the right answer. Okay? You have to recognize that even no decision is a decision. You may have this belief it's a decision, not a no decision, but you're ratifying the status quo. The other thing I used to tell my business guys constantly is that, they, particularly today in a very highly regulated world, everybody's afraid of their own shadow. Nobody wants to get fined. Nobody wants to be on the front page of newspapers. So you see a lot less ingenuity now than you used to. People are very risk averse. Everything is signed off by 13 or 14 people. I've always said it. I still believe it. Don't let the perfect get in the way of the imperfect. Okay? But 99% valuable. It's a critical lesson. There was the former head of the financial conduct authority in the UK had talked about the pendulum swinging much, much more so to the regulated side than ever before since the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008. The amount of laws and regulations that have come out in just the last few years, amazing, as Mr. Trump would say. Amazing. Okay, it really is. And it really has frozen up a lot of ingenuity. Don't let that happen to you. Again, apply the grandma test. Don't let the perfect get in the way of the imperfect, and have a good